The Galactic Council sat in its chamber, a sprawling hall suspended in the cold vacuum of space. Each member, a being of unimaginable age and power, observed the projection of Earth on the central holo display. To them, the blue and green planet seemed nothing more than a speck in the vastness of the universe, a primitive world, its inhabitants barely scratching the surface of space travel. Humans, the Thalare, a towering reptilian creature with eyes like molten amber, hissed from his position at the table. They are nothing but a curiosity, a novelty. They pose no threat to us. Agreed, replied a sharp-eyed avian delegate from the Zenthri Alliance, her voice a smooth, melodic hum. Their technology is in its infancy. We've observed their fleets, and their ships are hardly worth our concern. We should not waste another cycle on their insignificant rise. The council murmured in agreement. The image of Earth flickered briefly, as if to emphasize their collective disdain. Across the galaxy, the human species had only just begun to extend their reach into the stars, reaching out, searching for resources, claiming territories. It was hardly a disruption. The ancient powers of the Galactic Council, composed of species that had been in space for millennia, had seen such uprisings countless times. Every few centuries, another civilization would rise, only to be crushed by the overwhelming might of the collective. From the outer rim, humanity's progress had barely registered as a blip on the Council's radar. They had no ancient secrets or weapons of mass destruction. They were simply an emerging species, nothing more. Their dominance over their homeworld was impressive, but the galaxy was a vast, merciless expanse where the strong survived and the weak perished. And yet, the alien delegates could not ignore the subtle shift in the air. A few scattered incidents, an unexpected defense victory here, an alliance there, had begun to make even the most dismissive of them take a second look. "I still don't understand," said Veeler, the gray-skinned ambassador of the 10th Order. "How did a species like this manage to develop so quickly? They were at war with themselves just a century ago, yet they now possess ships capable of interstellar travel. How is this possible?" A deep silence fell over the room. The question was a valid one, and it made the Council uneasy. "It's nothing to worry about," said Arcos, a smooth-talking member from the Varth Empire. "Their recent progress is the result of a single breakthrough in energy weapons. It's a novelty. They're uncoordinated, chaotic. They lack the unity and strategy that we have honed over millennia." The Thalare grunted in agreement, his muscular arm resting on the table as his fangs glinted in the dim light. "They're like children playing with fire. It is only a matter of time before they burn themselves." Despite their reassurances, a subtle unease lingered. The Thalare leaned forward, tapping his claws on the table. "The question remains, why has Earth's influence spread so quickly in the past few decades? Why now? Their technology may not be sophisticated by our standards, but they are beginning to show a disturbing consistency." Because a voice interrupted, calm, low, and undeniably human. They were waiting for the right time. The entire chamber went silent. A single human envoy stood at the entrance, his presence entirely unnoticed until now. His voice was sharp, cutting through the silence of the room. His eyes, unwavering, looked directly at the council members, as if daring them to doubt him. "Your arrogance blinds you. You think you've seen it all, but you've never seen humanity in full force," the envoy said, his voice rich with a calm confidence that immediately caught the council's attention. "You dismissed us, underestimated us, but now you'll learn the hard way. Earth's fleet isn't a collection of novices. It's the first step in something far larger, something you won't be able to stop." The room buzzed with disbelief. "What insolence!" the Zenthri delegate hissed, rising to her full height, her feathers bristling with anger. "How dare you speak to us like that?" But the human envoy remained unmoved. "I don't need to speak any further. You'll see soon enough." And with that, the image of Earth blinked once more on the central holo display. This time, though, there was something different. A shadow vast and unnatural was moving toward the planet. A fleet. An armada. The Council had just learned that Earth had never been defenseless. They'd been playing a different game all along. And now, The true power of humanity was about to be unleashed. The stars exploded in a flurry of bright streaks as an unthinkable reality struck the Galactic Council. Earth wasn't just another backwater planet. It was a quiet, simmering volcano waiting to erupt. From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, no one had seen it coming. No one had even considered it. For centuries, humanity had been dismissed as a fledgling species, barely surviving on their homeworld, Earth. Their technology was rudimentary, still caught in the clutches of primitive spacefaring methods. But what the Council didn't know, what they failed to understand, was that the humans had been preparing for this day long before any of them had even heard of Earth's name. And it all began with the reclamation of a vast asteroid field once thought to be lost to history. The field had been abandoned for centuries, a barren stretch of rocks drifting aimlessly in the cold reaches of space. It had been a place of battle during the Great Wars, now nothing more than a desolate, empty graveyard for those who'd fought in the name of ancient empires. Yet, when the first signal was received, when the reconnaissance fleet reported back, no one could believe it. The asteroid field was alive. It was transformed. Human ships, sleek and powerful, had anchored themselves throughout the field. Massive energy shields pulsed around the dense cluster of asteroids, forming an impenetrable fortress. It wasn't just a military installation, it was a statement. The report was short, clear, and direct. Earth had reclaimed the field, and it was now a formidable bastion of power. The Council, for the first time in centuries, had been taken by surprise. Even the most arrogant of the delegates had to pause, if only for a moment, to reconsider their stance on Earth. There was no denying it now. Earth was no longer the weak, vulnerable species they had assumed. The Thalar, the most outspoken member against humanity's potential, had never been one to shy away from voicing his opinions. He roared with anger as he slammed his fist against the polished surface of the council table, sending ripples through the holographic projections. This cannot be. A primitive species like this. How could they have achieved this level of sophistication? His words echoed through the chamber, but they were met with no immediate response. The Zentri delegate, ever the calm and calculating one, stood from her seat and gestured toward the council's central display, now showing the human fleet in full force around the once-forgotten asteroid field. "This is no accident," she murmured, her voice smooth but laced with suspicion. "This is deliberate. The humans have hidden their true strength until now." A shiver of doubt ran through the council. Each delegate knew the consequences of underestimating a species. They had learned that lesson the hard way in the past, when an empire thought itself invincible, only to find it wiped out in the blink of an eye by a species they had once dismissed. The report from the scout fleet confirmed what they had all feared. The asteroid field had been transformed using technology no one thought humanity was capable of. The asteroids had been turned into fortified strongholds, interlinked by a network of energy conduits, and connected by hypervelocity weapon systems that could wipe out any fleet that attempted to break through. The field was now one of the most secure locations in the galaxy, possibly the most secure. And it wasn't just the field itself that had the Council on edge. Earth had made no effort to hide its new military presence. The humans had openly broadcasted their success, sending a clear message to the galaxy. Earth had grown beyond the petty squabbles of its past and was now a force to be reckoned with. This is impossible," the Varth ambassador stammered. His usually composed demeanor cracked under the weight of the realization. "They have weapons. They have strategy. And they have us cornered." The tension in the room was palpable, but it wasn't just fear that gripped the council. It was something deeper, more unsettling. The realization that the humans hadn't just been biding their time, but had been carefully orchestrating every move, every maneuver. And now, they held the upper hand. The Galactic Council was not used to being on the defensive. They were used to being the ones who dictated terms. They controlled the galaxy, or so they thought. But humanity's sudden rise to power had shifted the balance, and the Council was no longer certain they could hold onto their dominance. As the debates raged on, and the diplomatic attempts to understand Earth's sudden strength faltered, The truth became undeniable. Humanity was not the weak, naive species they had once assumed. They were calculating, strategic, and prepared. And more terrifyingly, they were united in a way no one had expected. They had spent decades, no, centuries, gathering knowledge, resources, and technology. All this time, they had watched the galaxy, learning from every mistake, every war, every negotiation. And now, it was their turn. In the depths of the council chamber, a holographic display flashed one final piece of information. Earth's fleet was moving. The ships had left the asteroid field, and they were heading toward the heart of council space. The message was clear. Earth was no longer a planet to be overlooked. It was a power to be reckoned with. And the galaxy was about to learn what it truly meant to challenge humanity. The darkness of space trembled with the sudden roar of raw power. A new force had emerged, humanity's answer to centuries of galactic oppression, and it was more devastating than anyone had anticipated. The Galactic Council had once considered Earth's weapons laughable, nothing more than a fleeting curiosity. But that was before the Exodus. Humanity's first supership, the Exodus, was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The sheer size of the vessel was enough to make even the most confident alien warriors pause. Its sleek, otherworldly design shimmered in the cold vacuum, casting a terrifying silhouette against the backdrop of distant stars. Its surface was smooth, almost liquid-like, a stark contrast to the jagged, utilitarian ships of the Council's fleets. This was not a warship. It was a weapon of unimaginable scale. The moment the Exodus broke through Earth's atmosphere and entered the void of space, the galaxy stopped. Reports from every major space station, from the fringes of the galaxy to the heart of Council territory, confirmed it. The Exodus was no mere ship. It was a harbinger of humanity's true power. With a simple push of a button, Earth had unveiled a weapon capable of obliterating entire fleets in seconds. Its main cannon, built with a combination of lost ancient technology and human ingenuity, could unleash a burst of energy so potent that it threatened to tear apart anything in its path. It was a one-shot weapon, but a shot that no one could afford to ignore. The Council had only just begun to process the existence of such a weapon when humanity's fleet began broadcasting its message across the galaxy. Earth was not asking for recognition, it was demanding it. The message was direct and simple. Asterisk, you have underestimated us. Prepare for the consequences. Asterisk. No one was prepared for the sight that followed. The first demonstration of the Exodus' power came when a rogue alien faction, having disrespected Earth's growing influence, launched a surprise attack on Earth's outer defenses. The results were catastrophic. A single strike from the Exodus obliterated the attacking fleet. The energy blast surged through space, eradicating ships in its path, reducing them to nothing but a vaporized cloud of debris. It wasn't just the devastation that shocked the galaxy, it was the precision. The humans had perfected a weapon that could strike with deadly accuracy across light years of space, and they had shown no hesitation in using it. The Council, once filled with voices of dissent and laughter, now stood silent. Every species that had mocked humanity now found themselves questioning their assumptions. The ancient empires of the galaxy, whose advanced civilizations had once looked upon Earth's primitive tech as laughable, now saw a new kind of power rising from the edge of their domain. The Zenthri delegate, who had always dismissed humanity's threat with a sneer, now stood motionless, staring at the hollow display in disbelief. Impossible, she muttered, her wings twitching as she fought to process the implications of Earth's new weapon. The Thalare, his usual bravado gone, clenched his fists in frustration. We should have known they were hiding something. We've underestimated them at every turn. This isn't just a ship. This is a revolution. The human envoy, who had once spoken with such confidence, now stood tall in the council chamber, his eyes unwavering as he looked each delegate in the eye. This is only the beginning. We've only shown you a fraction of what we can do. Do not mistake this for arrogance. This is survival. This is our future. The council struggled to find their footing, their collective minds racing to process the new reality they were facing. With each passing moment, it became more and more apparent. Earth was not only capable of defending itself, it was now a force that could rewrite the balance of power in the galaxy. Yet, even with the overwhelming force that humanity now wielded, it wasn't just about weaponry. It was about strategy, unity, and purpose. The humans were not a fractured species anymore. They were a singular, unstoppable entity. The Exodus was only a symbol, the culmination of decades of preparation, of quiet progress made by a race that had long been underestimated. As the human fleet moved through space, the Exodus at its heart, the galaxy could no longer afford to ignore them. Earth had arrived, not just to survive, but to rule. And the galaxy would never be the same again. In the dead of space, a war was being waged, quiet, invisible, but no less deadly. The humans weren't just attacking with their fleets or their devastating weapons. They were dismantling the Galactic Council piece by piece, with a methodical precision that was terrifying in its efficiency. The first strike came in the form of economic sabotage. It wasn't through brute force or an overwhelming attack, but a subtle, carefully orchestrated series of cyber strikes against the intergalactic trade network. One by one, the key systems that powered the galaxy's economy began to falter. Trade routes that had been stable for centuries became unreliable, and the wealth of entire species was drained in mere days. The Zenthri, whose species had long controlled the galaxy's most lucrative resources, were the first to notice. A series of data leaks had stripped them of vital mining operations, causing a ripple effect that threatened to destabilize their entire economic foundation. Panic spread among their ranks as they tried to trace the source of the breach, but it was too late. The information had already been erased, and the attackers were long gone. The 10th Order was next. Known for their military strength and secretive intelligence operations, they found their spy networks compromised in a way they couldn't fathom. Sensitive data, once locked behind layers of encryption, was made public. Sensitive military plans had been altered, and entire fleets were caught in trap after trap, rendered useless before they could even engage their targets. All signs pointed back to Earth, though no direct evidence ever emerged. As the Council scrambled to regain control, the true scope of humanity's plan became clear. Earth's fleet wasn't just out there, waiting to strike. It was a secondary force, a mere distraction. The true weapon was the information war, and humanity was playing it with a calm, calculated brilliance. In the shadows, the director, the human mastermind behind it all, watched with a cold satisfaction. His influence extended far beyond the reaches of Earth's physical borders. Using advanced hacking techniques and quiet alliances with rogue factions across the galaxy, he had orchestrated an invisible war, tearing apart the fabric of the Council's power without a single shot being fired. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to wage war on multiple fronts. They had thought their advanced technology and centuries of experience gave them an unassailable position, but the humans weren't playing by their rules. Humanity had come to understand something the Council had long forgotten. The true heart of power in the galaxy wasn't in the might of a fleet or the size of a weapon. It was in knowledge. The ability to manipulate, to control the flow of information, was the real key to victory. While the Council debated and waged their open battles against the growing human fleet, they never considered the quiet revolution taking place beneath their noses. Every data breach, every sabotage, every disrupted trade route was another blow to their dominance. Slowly, but steadily, humanity was infiltrating every corner of the galaxy. Even those who had once dismissed Earth as insignificant were now forced to recognize the looming threat. The Varth Empire, once an unshakable pillar of the Council, felt the strain next. Their military fleets had been carefully constructed to be impenetrable. Yet, when their most advanced warship returned from a routine patrol, it was found completely empty. The crew had vanished, with no signs of a struggle. A single cryptic message was found in the ship's computer system. Asterisk. You are not the only ones who can hide in the dark. Asterisk. That was when the panic truly began to spread. Behind closed doors, the Galactic Council convened in secret. The public meetings, where they had once dismissed humanity's power as a mere bluff, now gave way to hushed whispers and fearful glances. They knew that Earth's fleet had not only grown in size, but in capability. They had weapons. They had strategy. And now, they had the most powerful tool in the galaxy: complete and utter control over information. The Council had no choice but to prepare for open conflict. But by the time they did, it was too late. The damage had already been done. The once unified front of the Council was splintering. Some of the more fearful species, recognizing the writing on the wall, began to distance themselves from the core of power. Others, more practical, began to open backdoor channels with Earth, sensing that humanity's rise was inevitable. And all the while, Earth watched. Every decision, every move the Council made, was observed and analyzed. The director knew that the time was coming soon when the Council would have no choice but to face the humans head-on. But for now, Earth's true power lay not in the weapons they controlled, but in the subtlety of their approach. It wasn't a war of missiles and lasers. It was a war of minds, and humanity had already won. The Council structure was crumbling from the inside out, and they had no idea who, or what, was responsible. The galaxy was slipping from their grasp, and they were too blind to see it until it was far too late. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath as Earth made its final move. The Galactic Council was fractured, its once mighty power slipping through their fingers. Earth had not only crippled their economies and intelligence networks, but now humanity was tightening the noose around their throats. The Council had finally realized what humanity had known from the beginning. If you control the flow of information, you control everything. Earth's fleet, led by the mighty Exodus, had deployed throughout Council space in a quiet campaign of dominance. Entire planets had been neutralized without a single shot being fired. The galaxy's most powerful species found themselves caught in a web of manipulation, unable to counter humanity's strategy. And now, Earth was making its most audacious move yet. The message had come in a transmission to the Council's high command, an encrypted signal that even the most sophisticated alien systems couldn't intercept in time. The message was short, blunt, and left no room for negotiation. Asterisk surrender, or face total annihilation. Asterisk. The Council reacted with panic. Delegates from across the galaxy met in an emergency session, their voices rising in heated disagreement. The Zenthri, once so confident, now sat back in shock. The 10th Order, their military command crippled by humanity's silent strikes, had no real means to retaliate. The once powerful Varth Empire had been shattered, its fleet scattered and leaderless. All their combined efforts seemed meaningless now in the face of humanity's unrelenting rise. Are we truly to bend the knee to these humans? The Thalare roared, his reptilian eyes wide with fury. His people had always prided themselves on their strength, but it was clear now that they were outmatched. We can't fight them, the Zenthri replied, her voice cold. Not like this. Not when they've already torn apart our infrastructure. The true weight of humanity's strength was becoming apparent. What had once been dismissed as Earth's lucky break was now undeniable. Humanity had not only created superior weapons, they had figured out how to strike without ever being seen. Their fleet movements were flawless, their warships nearly invisible to alien radar. The Exodus had demonstrated its power by destroying an entire alien fleet with a single shot. And now, it was moving toward the Council's capital, its massive weapon systems aimed squarely at the heart of the galaxy's power. As the Council bickered, humanity's fleets approached the central hub of galactic authority. The message was clear. Asterisk Earth no longer played by the Council's rules. Earth had its own game now, asterisk. The director, the enigmatic figure behind Earth's rise, knew this moment would come. He had seen it all in the data, in the subtle shifts of galactic power. He had prepared for it. Humanity's victory wasn't about sheer firepower. It was about understanding the true mechanics of control. And now, the Council was realizing, too late, that they had underestimated humanity's mastery of it. At the edge of Council space, a new human warship appeared, its silhouette ominous against the starry backdrop. The Vanguard, a ship built with technology far beyond anything the Council had ever seen, entered the system without a single warning. Its hull was sleek and dark, designed for stealth, and its weapons were locked onto the planet that served as the Council's capital. The once dominant species, the ones who had dismissed Earth's rise as a joke, were now facing the full force of humanity's ambition. With each passing hour, more alien ships were neutralized, each falling victim to Earth's strategic brilliance. The Council had no time to react. They had no reserves left to call upon. The humans had already secured key positions across the galaxy. Strategic planets, energy-rich asteroids, and powerful stations were now under human control. The Empire of the Varth, once the most powerful military force in the galaxy, was now nothing more than a shattered remnant of its former self. The Council's last hope rested on one final gamble. They would send a fleet to confront Earth's fleet head-on. But the humans were already waiting. Every battle the Council had lost was carefully orchestrated, and every human victory had been a calculated maneuver. The final showdown would not be a battle for survival. It would be a battle for control. And Earth wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to reshape the galaxy. As the Vanguard drew closer to the Council's capital, Earth's message echoed once again, this time broadcast across all frequencies. Asterisk, this is the last warning. Surrender or face extinction. Asterisk. The galaxy had reached its tipping point. The Council could no longer ignore the truth. Earth was no longer a fringe player, it was the new power, and they had come to stay. The time for negotiation had passed. Humanity had set the terms. Now, the galaxy had no choice but to meet them. The stars dimmed as Earth's final move came into view. A galaxy forever altered, a new order rising from the ashes of the old. The Galactic Council was on the brink of collapse. Their last-ditch efforts to summon any remaining fleets were futile. Every response from Earth had been cold, unyielding, and devastatingly efficient. No fleet could challenge the human juggernaut. No species could match the precision with which Earth had dismantled the once great galactic empires. And now, the final curtain was falling. As the Vanguard approached the Council's capital, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. No one had believed Earth capable of this kind of power, of reshaping the fate of the entire galaxy in such a short time. But there it was, undeniable. Earth was now the dominant force in the galaxy. The Council had tried to rally. They had attempted to call on their allies, but Earth's quiet warfare, its careful manipulation of trade routes, its sabotage of military communications, had already left the galaxy fractured. Now, the few remaining factions were scattered, too weak to offer any meaningful resistance. In the shadow of the Vanguard, Earth sent its ultimatum one last time. This time, the message was broadcast to the entire galaxy. The old order's over. A new one begins now. Join us or be swept aside. On the surface of Council-controlled planets, confusion and fear spread like wildfire. Leaders, once powerful and untouchable, now faced a hard truth. The galaxy's political structure was crumbling beneath their feet. Earth had shattered the illusion of invincibility that had defined the Council for eons. The once imposing empires of the galaxy now stood before humanity, kneeling in the face of a new reality. The Vanguard arrived at the Council's capital with no opposition. Earth's fleet hovered on the outskirts, each ship poised to strike. But no shots were fired. The moment was final, inevitable. The Council had already fallen apart long before this day. As Earth's fleets began to land on the capital planet, delegations of alien leaders trickled in for what would be their final meeting. The once imposing council chamber, the heart of the galaxy's authority, was now a hushed, dimly lit hall. The once proud species who had governed the stars sat in silence, facing the human representatives, now the new rulers of the galaxy. The director, humanity's unseen architect, stood at the head of the table. His presence was commanding, yet silent, as the alien leaders took their seats before him. He was a figurehead, yes, but his eyes told the story of a race that had endured, that had prepared for this moment for centuries. And now, humanity's dominance was sealed. The director's voice echoed through the chamber, calm but resolute. This is not a conquest. This is the beginning of a new era, one of unity, of growth, of rebuilding. But only those willing to adapt will thrive. Some alien species, those who had been more pragmatic than others, reluctantly accepted humanity's rule. Others, more stubborn, eyed the new order with distrust. But all knew the same truth. Resistance was futile. Humanity had won, and they would not be moved. The director's gaze swept the room, assessing each species. He could see the fear, the grudging respect, and the acceptance. It was clear that the galaxy was changing. The old empires, once proud and untouchable, had been dethroned. And in their place, humanity would lead. The final council meeting concluded not with a battle, but with a shift in power. The council was no more. Earth, now at the helm of a unified galaxy, had made its mark. The director, a figure born of Earth's quiet rise, had crafted the foundation for a new age. But as the meeting ended, the director knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would change, grow, and evolve under humanity's leadership. The challenges ahead would be many. But Earth had already shown that no force in the universe could ever challenge their rise again. The new order had arrived, and this time it was humanity's.